Okay, let's dive into this incredible story. It's about how one man and his company kind of stumbled into holding the keys to our entire future. It's a wild ride. I know. Most powerful person in AI sounds like a huge exaggeration, right? But to really get why that's not crazy, you have to understand what's happening right now. We're in the middle of this massive AI gold rush. I mean, it's an absolute explosion of innovation. And right smack in the middle of it all, Jensen Huang. And this is the perfect way to think about it. See, Jensen Huang isn't out there digging for AI gold himself. Nope, he's the guy selling the shovels. And in this case, the shovels are the most sought-after microchips on the entire planet. It's exactly like that old story of the gold rush. The people who got seriously rich weren't always the ones finding gold. It was the guys selling picks and shovels. That's why. And we're not talking about your average garden shovel here. We're talking about a single AI chip from his company, NVIDIA, that costs a cool $30,000. And get this, the wait list is over a year long. People are so desperate they'll pay double that on the black market. He basically has a monopoly on the one thing that everyone in AI needs to even play the game. So the big question is, how did he pull this off? How do you build an empire like that? Well, to get that, we have to go back, way back. Because his story isn't some tale of privilege. It's a story of survival, of being forged by some pretty serious adversity. Okay, so picture this. You're 9 years old. Your parents send you 8,000 miles away from home, from Thailand to a boarding school in rural Kentucky. You barely speak English, and you're surrounded by kids of tobacco farmers and coal miners. He was the only Asian student. As he put it, there was no counselor to go cry to. You had to toughen up and get on with it. And that mindset, that toughen up and move on idea, it basically became the blueprint for his entire life. But you know, one of the most important lessons he ever learned didn't come from a fancy school or a tech lab. It came from a Denny's. Yeah, a Denny's. He started out as a dishwasher, worked his way up to server. And it was right there in the middle of a crazy, chaotic dinner rush that he had this huge realization about himself. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's the absolute core of who he is as a leader. When everything is falling apart, when most people would be panicking, his heart rate actually goes down. He finds total clarity in chaos. And that ability to stay ice cold under pressure, well, that became his superpower.
All right, so you take that ability to thrive in chaos, and what do you do with it? Well, if you're Jensen Huang, you use it to make one of the biggest, most insane, counterintuitive bets in the history of technology.
So back in the mid-2000s, NVIDIA was basically a video game company. And all their competitors, giants like Intel, they were all obsessed with one thing, making their processors faster. Just faster, faster, faster. But Huang? He looked at the whole situation and decided to go in a completely different direction. He saw a problem that literally no one else was even looking at.
The whole idea revolved around something called parallel computing and a platform he built called CUDA. Now, here's a great way to think about it. Imagine a normal computer chip is like a dance floor, but only one person can dance at a time. It's kind of slow, right? Well, Huang's chips, using CUDA, basically threw the doors open and turned that dance floor into a massive synchronized flash mob with thousands of tiny dancers, or transistors, all moving at the same time. And as it turns out, that's exactly what AI needs, the ability to do millions of simple things all at once.
So he was building this incredible technology for a market that literally did not exist. He even called it the $0 billion market. I mean, from a business perspective, it was completely nuts. He was pouring billions of dollars into building this thing, basically on a hunch, a hope that someday someone would come along and need this kind of power.
And to make sure his team stayed hungry, to make sure they never got comfortable while making this giant bet, he created this intense corporate culture. He'd start meetings by telling everyone, our company is 30 days from going out of business. Imagine hearing that, even when they were successful. It was his way of saying, don't you dare get comfortable. Comfort is the enemy.
And so for years, nothing. That baseball diamond he built on the cornfield just sat there, empty. But then, in 2012, something amazing happened. The players finally showed up. And the crazy part is, it was a complete and total accident.
See, at the time, AI research was kind of stuck. The whole idea of neural networks, AI that tries to mimic the human brain, was considered a joke, a scientific dead end. But there was this small group of underdog researchers in Toronto who just refused to let the idea die. They were basically out of money, out of options, but they kept pushing. And what they did next? Well, it's now legendary. It's called AI's first contact moment.
Out of sheer desperation, these two grad students scraped together some cash and bought a couple of off-the-shelf NVIDIA gaming cards. They used Huang's CUDA software, and, well, their neural network just came alive. It started training itself at a speed no one thought was possible, shattering all the records. And you better believe, when Jensen Huang saw those results, he knew. He knew his crazy $0 billion bet was finally about to cash in, big time.
And just like that, everything changed. You had these two underdog technologies, NVIDIA's weird parallel computing and this forgotten field of neural networks, and they slammed into each other and unlocked the future. That failed bet Huang made all those years ago, it had just found its killer app. This wasn't just a victory for NVIDIA. It was literally the birth of the AI revolution as we know it.
Which brings us right back to today, right now. That technology he bet the farm on is now powering a global explosion in artificial intelligence. It's everywhere, from discovering new drugs to the chatbots that you talk to on your phone.
But here's the thing. Having that much power, basically holding the keys to the AI kingdom, puts him at the center of a massive, and I mean massive, debate about our future. The very engine he created is now forcing all of us to ask some really tough, really important questions.
And the debate is pretty stark. On one side, you've got Jensen Huang. He's the ultimate optimist. He literally says there is zero risk in AI. Zero. But then, on the other side, you have the very people, the pioneers like Geoffrey Hinton, even Elon Musk, who used his chips to create this revolution. And now they're sounding the alarm, warning that we are summoning a demon and facing a potential extinction-level threat.
So what are they so afraid of? Well, the core fear is this. What happens when we create a machine that is smart enough to improve itself? It could rocket past human intelligence in a blink of an eye. And the consequences of that? They're totally unpredictable and potentially catastrophic. We're talking about a world where humanity is no longer the smartest thing on the planet.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? What will be the legacy of this accidental king, the man who built the engine of our future? Did he give us the key to solving all of humanity's greatest problems? Or, in his relentless drive, did he build the one thing we can never, ever control?